Celebrities are shrinking, TikTok can't shut up about it, and your coworker mysteriously lost 20 pounds over the summer. The reason? Ozempic. But here's the twist. What if I told you that now you don't even need the injection? That same miracle drug is now available in a pill. Sounds easier, right? But is it just as effective? Today we're diving into the real science behind Ozempic, injection versus tablet, which one works better for weight loss, which one is safer, and which one might secretly be a waste of your money. So what is Ozempic? Let's clear something up right away. Ozempic wasn't originally designed to help you shed pounds for your high school reunion. It was created to treat type 2 diabetes. The active ingredient? Semaglutide. Semaglutide belongs to a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists, which is a fancy way of saying it mimics a natural hormone in your body called GLP-1. This hormone helps regulate blood sugar, slows digestion, and, here's the part everyone loves, tells your brain you're full. So when you're on Ozempic, you eat less, stay fuller longer, and as a result, yep, you lose weight without the constant battle of willpower. Now here's where it gets interesting. While Ozempic is FDA approved for diabetes, a higher dose version called Wegovy is approved specifically for weight loss. Both use semaglutide, the same molecule, just a different dose and branding. And then there's Rybelsus, the oral version of semaglutide. Yep, same stuff, just in pill form. But as we'll see soon, it's not just Ozempic in a capsule. The delivery method makes a big difference. Next up, let's break down how these two forms of semaglutide actually work inside your body. Spoiler, they're not as interchangeable as you might think. Alright, let's talk about how these two versions actually get into your body. Because spoiler alert, the route matters more than you think. The Ozempic injection is a once-weekly shot, taken under the skin, usually in the stomach, thigh, or upper arm. It's pre-filled, simple to use, and you don't need to be a nurse to figure it out. One injection. And because it bypasses your digestive system, the drug goes straight into your bloodstream and starts doing its job efficiently. Now the tablet, known as Rybelsus, is a different beast. You take it daily, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And here's the catch. You can't eat or drink anything except water for at least 30 minutes after taking it. Not even coffee. Yeah, painful. Why the ritual? Because the oral form is harder to absorb. Semaglutide is a peptide, a type of molecule your gut usually breaks down. So the pill has to be taken in a very specific way to make sure even a small amount reaches your bloodstream. In fact, the injection has a bioavailability of around 89%, while the pills is closer to 1%. Yes, you heard that right. 1%! That's why the tablet requires more frequent dosing and sometimes higher doses to achieve similar effects. So while the pill might seem easier, it demands more discipline and may not deliver the same punch per dose. Still, for people who hate needles or want more control, it can be a game changer. But what about the results? Which one actually helps you lose more weight? Let's get into the science. Let's talk results. Because at the end of the day, whether you're poking yourself with a needle or skipping breakfast for a pill, you want to know which one actually helps you lose more weight. We've got some solid science to answer this, thanks to two major sets of clinical trials: the STEP trials for the injection and the Pioneer trials for the tablet. In the STEP 1 trial, adults without diabetes taking 2.4 milligrams of injectable semaglutide, Wegovy, lost an average of 14.9% of their body weight over 68 weeks, compared to just 2.4% in the placebo group. That's a serious transformation. Even in lower doses used for Ozempic, like 1 milligram weekly, patients with type 2 diabetes saw around 4.5 to 6% weight loss. Still impressive. Now over to the Pioneer 4 trial, where participants on 14 milligrams of oral semaglutide daily lost an average of 4.4 kilograms over 26 weeks, compared to 3.1 kilograms on liraglutide and 0.5 kilograms with placebo. That equates to about 5 to 6% total body weight loss in most people, similar to lower dose injections, but noticeably less than the high-dose weekly shot. Bottom line, the injection is more effective, especially at the higher 2.4 milligram dose used in Wegovy. It leads to significantly greater weight loss over time, especially for those without diabetes. That said, the tablet still helps a lot of people lose weight, particularly those with type 2 diabetes. And for some, the daily pill is worth the trade-off. But weight loss is just one piece of the puzzle. What about the side effects? Because yep, they're real and they're not always fun. Let's talk side effects, because while Ozempic and its pill version can help with weight loss, they can also turn your stomach into a bit of a drama queen. The most common side effects of both the injection and tablet include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, and bloating or abdominal pain. These are part of what researchers call gastrointestinal events, and they're no joke. In the STEP trials, up to 44% of participants on semaglutide experienced some level of nausea. What about tablet versus injection? Who feels it more? Here's the interesting part. People on the tablet version, Rybelsus, sometimes report more digestive side effects than those on the injection. Why? Because the pill has to pass through your gut, and while your digestive system doesn't always appreciate it, the injection, by contrast, bypasses the stomach, which may reduce irritation for some users. Now for the more serious stuff. Both versions of semaglutide come with rare but real risks. Let's look at some now. First, pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas. Next, gallbladder issues, including gallstones. And finally, increased heart rate. Potential thyroid tumors may also occur, though this has mainly been observed in rodents, not humans. Okay, so who should avoid it? Semaglutide may not be safe if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid carcinoma, have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, have had pancreatitis before, or are pregnant or breastfeeding. It's also not recommended for people with type 1 diabetes or those with severe gastrointestinal disorders. For most users, side effects are mild and temporary, and doctors usually start with lower doses to help your body adjust. But if you're considering either version of Ozempic, make sure your doctor knows your full health history. So now that we know how they work and what they might do to your gut, let's talk lifestyle, because daily pills and weekly shots each come with their own kind of baggage. So you've got the science, you know the side effects, but let's be real, what about day-to-day life? Because for a lot of people, convenience is everything. The injection is a once-a-week deal. You pick a day, say Sunday morning, take the shot, and you're good to go for 7 days. No need to plan meals around it. No worrying about timing or an empty stomach. You can travel, work, or forget your water bottle, and your injection still works. Downside? Yeah, you're injecting yourself. But the needle is super thin, and many users say it's less painful than a finger prick. The tablet, on the other hand, asks a lot more of your morning routine. You take it first thing with a small sip of water, and then you wait. That means you're skipping breakfast, delaying coffee, and probably adjusting your schedule. Every single day. And if you mess it up, the pill might not work as well. For some people, that's just too much hassle. For others, it becomes a routine like brushing your teeth. There's also travel and storage. Injections usually require refrigeration, especially in warm climates. Tablets don't. But if remembering a daily pill sounds exhausting, the weekly shot might be your best friend. So what's better? The answer really depends on your lifestyle, your preferences, and your ability to stick to a routine. One isn't necessarily easier, just different. But now let's talk about something everyone cares about, the price tag, because results don't matter much if you can't afford the drug. All right, let's talk money. Because whether you're team tablet or team injection, Ozempic isn't cheap. And depending on where you live, getting it can feel like trying to book a Beyoncé ticket during a pharmacy shortage. In the United States, the retail cost of Ozempic injections is around $900 to $1,200 per month without insurance. The tablet version, Rybelsus, costs a bit less, closer to $800 to $900 a month. But in places like the UK, things are different. If you're prescribed Ozempic for type 2 diabetes through the NHS, you'll only pay the standard prescription fee, around £9.90. But here's the catch. Ozempic and Rybelsus are not currently approved by the NHS for weight loss alone, only for managing diabetes. Which means if you're using it for weight management, you'll likely be going private and footing the full bill. And even if you can't afford it, there's the issue of availability. Thanks to social media buzz and high demand, both Ozempic and Wegovy have faced global shortages. In some places, diabetics are struggling to access the meds they need as prescriptions for weight loss skyrocket. It's also important to know in many countries, using Ozempic for weight loss is considered off-label, meaning it's not officially approved for that use, even though doctors can still prescribe it. That can affect insurance coverage, availability, and legal guidance depending on where you are. So whether you're considering the tablet or the injection, the cost question isn't just about money, it's about access, regulation, and whether your healthcare system supports it. Let's wrap it all up. So after all the science, side effects, lifestyle changes, and cost, the big question is, which version of Ozempic is actually better for weight loss? If your goal is maximum weight loss, the injection wins, hands down. Especially at the higher Wegovy dose, it delivers dramatic results backed by strong science. But if you can't stand needles or you prefer a more discreet daily approach, the tablet might be your best bet. Just know it requires more discipline and usually delivers modest results by comparison. Ultimately, the best choice comes down to your lifestyle, your medical history, and what you're willing to stick with long-term. And remember, both versions are prescription medications designed for people with medical needs. These aren't magic pills. They're tools, and like any tool, they work best in the right hands with the right guidance. So, would you rather deal with a weekly injection or a strict morning pill ritual? Hit that like button if you learned something new, and subscribe for more no-nonsense health science minus the hype, plus the facts. Until next time, stay curious.